Yo, what's going on, Beast? So with how new CODs are nowadays with their 7,000 different settings just to change your sensitivity or how your analog stick feels, you probably didn't know about some of the secrets that are buried within the settings. Some of these you may know and some of them you may not. So if I missed any, make sure to comment some. Quick shout out to my man Washed who commented the keyword on my last video. And if you want a chance to be featured in the next upload, comment settings down in the comment section below. So first things first, we're going to go over my controller settings because this is without a doubt the most popular question I've been getting asked. Is what are my controller settings. So we're going to go through this one by one. I'm a very default player. I've been playing on default settings since Call of Duty 4 back in 2007. It's what's comfortable for me, so that's what I stick with. So mostly all the settings you guys are going to see on here are pretty much default. So first things first, controller vibration is on. Shout out to my vibration gang. We're a dying breed out there, but hey, we're still here. When it comes to sensitivity, I'm rocking 16-14. This is what feels best for me. Back in the old Call of Duties when they went up to 10 sensitivity only, I played on 8. So 8 sensitivity kind of feels like 16. I also heard a rumor back in the day that if you put your vertical sensitivity 2 less than your horizontal, it feels like old CODs. Because if you remember, back in the old CODs, like I said, you just picked one sensitivity. There wasn't no horizontal or vertical. It was just one whole sensitivity. And ever since I heard that, I put it on, and it felt like old CODs. So I'm just sticking with it. ADS sensitivity multiplier, I keep on 1. Same with all of this. Vertical aim axis, this is all standard. I don't want to change anything with that. Automatic sprint, I have off. Now, this is pretty controversial because Warzone has people rocking automatic tac sprint out the wazoo. So I keep this on off. I personally think that automatic tac sprint hurts you with sniping when you're in between shots. I do believe that if you keep this on off, it feels best. Obviously, I know a lot of people use automatic sprint, automatic tac sprint to save their controllers. I definitely understand that, but I do believe that you don't want automatic tac sprint on if you're running around sniping, because there's so many times where I just want to inch forward and I don't want to double sprint forward. On top of this is kind of a personal thing as well. It doesn't really matter, but the animation when your gun goes all the way up when you're double sprinting in between shots doesn't look as smooth than if you were just regularly moving forward with regular sprints. So I keep that off. Moving into the advanced settings category, my aim assist type is default. One of the reasons why this video took so long to make is because I was experimenting with all of these. I did try precision. Precision was okay. I used that in the previous CODs, but default feels the best. This is one of the most important settings right here. Aim response curve type is on dynamic. I don't know what reverse S-curve mapping for fine aim rate control means. What I do know is when I put this on dynamic, it feels way more responsive when I look left and right, up and down, than if it was on standard or linear. Custom sensitivity per zoom is off. I don't have any of these changed. Again, I think this is another thing people have been asking me a lot, is if I change any of these, and I don't. I keep it all on default. Now, entering into another key part of my settings is the dead zone. Now, I've talked about this and the importance of this in the past few CODs, but I cannot stress enough how important these two settings are right here. If you feel heavy, if you spawn into the game for the first time and you're looking left and right and it feels like there's a delay, that is probably because your dead zone is all the way up. I don't know what the default is. In the past few CODs, it was like 40 or 30, and that is super, super heavy. I keep mine on 0.14. I feel like that is best for me. The lower your dead zone is, the more responsive you will feel. And then the higher your dead zone is, the less responsive your analog stick aiming will feel. This is primarily made for players with controllers that are broken or have stick drift. So if you do have stick drift, you want to increase this to compensate for the stick drift. But if you just have a regular controller and it's brand new or it's working fine, you do not want this dead zone high. You want this low. Definitely experiment and see what feels best for you. Pretty much these are the only two ones you're going to want to change, though. You can change the trigger dead zone as well. This is pretty much how hard you have to press the trigger for your gun to shoot. If it's insanely low, if you just barely tap your trigger, it's going to shoot. Then when it comes to movement and behaviors, this is pretty much all default. You got toggle, off, sprint behavior is double tap, ground and mantle on, automatic airborne mantle and automatic ground mantle you want off. The amount of times where you just jump and your guy mantles on the side or mantles on a table that you don't want to, or a freaking washing machine. I've gotten killed so many times because I just accidentally mantle on stuff. So I keep both of these off. Parachute, auto deploy, you kind of want that off because sometimes you'll just jump off of something that's not even high and you'll just automatically deploy your parachute, which gets you killed a lot. And then everything else on here is pretty much the same. I didn't change any of this. Now, moving into the interface section, this tab right here has some of the best secret settings that you guys may have looked over. The first one being, in my opinion, the most important setting. I'm probably going to put this at the beginning of the video because I want to get this point across. The crosshairs I have turned off. Now, for ray gunners, this may be a little bit different, but for all my snipers out there, in my opinion, this is a must. Turn your crosshairs off because they're all over the place. They're bouncing all over the place. Scroll down and go to center dot. This thing is amazing. It puts one center dot in the middle of your screen that makes it so much better to snipe and to center your shots. And you can customize the size of this center dot as well. I think largest is a little bit too big for me. Same with larger. I like the default center dot. On the screen right now, you're seeing the difference between the three. I think default looks the best. It's not too big. It's not too distracting. But this center dot will not move. It will not bounce all over the place. It sticks in the center of your screen always, and that helps so much with centering. You guys have to try this out. Another secret setting that's going to help you guys out a lot is color customization. You're going to click this. You're going to go to the enemy tab right here. If you go to custom color right here, you can adjust the brightness and the saturation of the enemy color. And if you put this all the way up and the brightness all the way up, it's going to make the enemies so much easier to see because the red dot above the enemy is so much clearer to see. This is definitely a hidden gem in the settings. If you guys haven't tried this out, if you haven't adjusted it, everything else in the interface tab is pretty much all default. You're going to want your subtitles off when it comes to multiplayer. Everything else is kind of distracting. If you need the subtitles, go ahead, put them on. But minimap shape, I like mine on square. That's the OG. These are the remainder settings that I have on my interface tab right here, so you guys can copy this if you want. Now, moving on to the graphics settings, remember, I do play on PC. Some of these settings will carry over onto consoles, but primarily these are my PC settings right here. I do play on full screen borderless. That's just because when I'm streaming, I want to be able to tab in and out of my stream and in and out of my game without absolutely destroying my game and making it lag. So VSync you definitely want off on both menu and gameplay. When it comes to custom frame limit, I keep mine on custom. Moving down the list though, these are all pretty much default. Display gamut 2.2. Right. Who just joined my session? Okay, here we go. All right, back to what I was at. My brightness is on 47, and then this is off and off. I don't keep any of this on. Moving on to the quality section, I got these settings from my boy Paradox. They are the best when it comes to optimization and figuring out your best settings. I've tweaked these a little bit as well to feel what's best for me. Quality preset on custom. Upscale sharpening, I have it on fidelity. Cast with the 100% strength. I think it looks really good. Here's an example of how the gameplay looks with fidelity on compared to how it looks with fidelity off. And I do believe that when you have it on and when you have the strength at around 80 to 100, it makes the game look very, very sharp. This was the case back in Vanguard last year. It made the game look a lot better, so I'm doing it again this year. SMAA 2X, anti-aliasing quality on normal. I don't have to individually read every one of these settings. You guys can see it right here. You can copy whichever settings you want. These have just worked perfectly for me. The game is still very, very beautiful, and it runs very well. I get pretty solid frames on this as well. So going on to the view section, I play on 110 FOV. I think 110 FOV works perfectly for me. 120 gets a little too crazy. I use that for Warzone, but for multiplayer, I like to keep it at a solid 110. ADS field of view, you're going to want on affected. Weapon field of view, default. 80 FOV, that's for third person. And then you want your first person camera movement and third person camera movement on least 50%. This is a little hidden setting right here, maybe a secret setting. Most of you guys may already know this setting, but for some reason it gives you the option to turn your camera movement on 100, which makes everything look all janky and all over the place. Moving on to the audio section, this is pretty much self-explanatory though. You guys are going to experiment with this yourself and see what's best for you. Everything else is pretty much default though. I'm going to scroll down and just show you what I use all around. So yeah guys, that's all. Those are all the settings that I am using on Modern Warfare 2. These are the best sniping settings and honestly just the overall best settings for Modern Warfare 2 in general. Please leave a like if any of these settings helped you guys in any shape or perform. It helps out more than you know. And drop us a subscription if you guys are new. We are on the road to 300,000 subscribers. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.
How in the fuck are you about to say? The way that we do it, it's not the way. No, don't you sweat it, you not in the way. Nothing you